Hello, welcome to the first podcast on the channel. My name is Jeremy Sparks, and I'll be bringing you content over the next few months on how to prepare yourself for tax season. First, let's go over what this channel will bring to the community and how we hope to achieve our goal. Just before we start, in the comment section below, if you do happen to have any questions, or if anything you happen to hear today conflicts with the information you have or knowledge you have, go ahead and comment in the section below. We'll be able to turn around and make the corrections as necessary. Additionally, listed in the description is a PowerPoint, which will allow you to partially follow along with everything that's going to be discussed here today. So as we move forward here, I want to just go ahead and quickly cover today's topics in the podcast. So let's get right into it. Quickly cover today's topics. First, just want to quickly review what this channel is, what we're here for, what we can do to try to help you, where we get our information, where you can also look at that same information. And one final topic we want to cover today, which is going to be a common feature of the podcast, is we're going to try to find one thing that's going to benefit our community when we go through everything here today. So today's topic is going to be how you can actually help your tax preparer when you walk into the office, when you make that phone call, when you send that email, to make sure that your process is quick and efficient. I understand, based on a survey we had out, that it's very common that a tax preparer, office setting or otherwise, it does take a few weeks for a tax preparer to be able to get the documents back to you, communicate back to you after they've done things on their end. And the whole point of our tax topic for today is to make sure that you make your day a little bit easier, you make your week a little bit easier, because you know that the tax preparer does have everything they need. Makes the turnaround time much, much quicker. It's going to save a lot of stress. So that's going to be the final topic of the day. But first, I just wanted to go ahead and cover what we're doing in the earlier session of this podcast. So, what's the purpose of the podcast? And the main reason is we want to try to get as much information out to you over the course of the next few months that will allow you to have as much knowledge available when you go into your tax preparer, when you make that phone call, when you send that email, so that if there's anything that may be a little confusing on the end of the tax preparer, or something that you happen to receive in an email from your employer, from your tax preparer, from the IRS, we want to make sure you have as much knowledge as you possibly can without needing to sit down and spend a few hours with a tax attorney, with a tax accountant, and do as much as we can to serve the general public in this. We also really want to prepare you for the month or two just prior to tax season coming out, so that you can be aware of the effect of any more recent tax laws, tax changes, and give you the ability to understand what you may be walking into when tax season does roll around and your tax preparer does give you that phone call that may not seem very comfortable. Based on everything you've learned here today, that you understand the general idea of what the tax preparer is expressing to you in their email or in their phone call, so that you can walk out of there, you can send off payment, you can receive payment from the IRS, and you know that it's going to be a nice solid base for any decision you made when you provided documents to the tax preparer. So this is how we're going to be doing things over the next few months. If we get a good reception here over the first couple podcasts, we're definitely going to do this on a weekly basis. We know if we continue to do that weekly, there'll be definitely enough information out right around December that you'll be able to walk into January to February with as much information as we could possibly give you over the next 4 months. Also, don't forget, in the link in the description below, we're going to have all this information. We're going to have links to our webpage where you can actually have more details of what topics we're covering here today and in the future. Go ahead and click the link below. We're going to actually update our blog twice a week. So not only what's being covered now, but possibly other things that are more recently out, something that we may not have had time to record an episode. We're going to have a link below. Just go ahead and get on there. We have it twice a week. Additionally, don't forget Facebook, Twitter, posts will be there at least once a week, showing either podcast updates that are being uploaded, blog updates on our webpage, or any really, really important item that may happen to come up within a tax law that's really crucial. Recently, there was a payroll tax holiday, and I did get a few questions regarding how that's going to take effect. Thankfully, those individuals that did ask the questions did have an understanding of what they could do to avoid having any issues moving forward. That item is already a little bit past, so unfortunately won't be covered in this particular podcast, but we'll be able to get to new features like that may be a quick effect on an individual. But also, again, check Twitter, check Facebook. We'll have all the details on there moving forward. And if the reception of these podcasts are wonderful and there's a lot of positive vibes, what we're going to try to do is we're going to definitely look at webinars or sessions where we can have a handful of people in. We can just go over some topics that may be important at that particular time or coming up that's really important for individuals. We're going to go ahead and see how that turns out. And if things go well, look in your inbox for emails, look through Twitter, look through Facebook. We'll have some virtual webinars coming up in the near future. I've already addressed a little bit of why we're doing the podcast, why we're here putting this information out, and what we're attempting to do is put you in a better position when January comes around, when November comes around, when December comes around, and you feel like you're unsure of what your tax outcome's going to be. I know many people are still attempting to understand the current situation with taxes, and that's what the purpose of this podcast is. We want to make sure we're getting out as much information as possible when as little time as possible. That's why we're going to definitely do our best to try to keep this under 10 minutes or very close to 10 minutes, so that when you're just getting your way to work or you're in line at your favorite coffee shop, you can just pop this on, hear it for a good 10 minutes. We'll be able to get you that information out in that short period of time so that you can then have little tidbits of information constantly going through your head and making sure that you're aware of any changes that may occur. So now what can you do to help retain this information? We're going to try to get as much information as we can on the topic of the day in such a short period of time. And again, more information will be in the link below, so go ahead and click the link to get more details. But we're going to definitely try to give you the minimum information that you can then take to research a little bit more. If this is a particular situation you happen to be in, you want to try to get more details. We're definitely going to just scratch the surface of the ideas and of the topics within the podcast. But don't forget that you can still take a little bit more time out, 20 minutes out of your day, and do a little bit more research if we don't happen to fulfill your need. Another thing you can do is smile. Unfortunately, when people think of, oh my gosh, it's tax time, oh my gosh, the taxes are coming due, sometimes just starting out with a good positive mindset before you even walk in the door, before you even send that email, before you even send that text message or make that phone call, start off in a positive mindset, positive attitude. And that will make it so much easier for you when you walk into the office and find out that you're getting a refund. So now on to the topic for today. This is going to be something that's going to be more towards the beginning of the podcast, but due to the fact that I wanted to go over everything of what the podcast is for, what we're attempting to do here, this has ended up a little bit further down in the time frame, but you know what? It's okay. Let's go ahead and dig into it. How can you help your tax preparer? Now, one important thing is to keep a folder, a specific tax folder. If you're not able to do it within a paper version, hop onto your laptop, hop onto your computer, have an electronic record folder on your desktop or within another folder in your documents to make sure that you try to keep everything as handy as possible when you do happen to make the phone call, email, visit into the office. There's an electronic file which is going to make it a lot easier for your tax preparer. A lot of issues that come around January, February is, when do I get my W-2? And if you were to call your tax preparer, you were to call a tax lawyer, a tax attorney, they're going to always refer you to your HR department or your payroll provider. 90% of the time now, payroll providers, HR departments will have an electronic version of your W-2. So that's going to make it a lot easier for you to obtain that information. So a lot of times pop onto your payroll provider website, request a W-2, and the electronic version should come back very quickly. If you don't happen to have a payroll provider that's online, the requirement for them to be mailing out W-2s is January 31st. So give it a week or two after January 31st. If you have not received your W-2 or 1099, you want to go ahead and contact your HR department or your payroll provider and have them send you another one, or investigate a little further into why you had not received your statement yet. The next thing we want to quickly cover is, what do you need to take, or what do you need to provide to your tax preparer? Now, everybody's situation is a little different. There's going to be additional forms that will be mailed from other agencies. Generally speaking, you want to give your wages, interest earned from a bank account, your final mortgage statement, or a document that comes from a mortgage company, Social Security statement that comes from Social Security Department, unemployment statement, all the documents that are very common in a tax preparation for most people. Your individual case may vary based on prior year's tax returns. Best thing to do, if you don't know 100%, make sure you contact your tax preparer. They usually have a list of items that you can take with you. Looks like we're coming up to the end of the podcast. Next time, we're going to quickly review some items that would be considered income, how your employer does draw your tax payments from your paycheck, and how you have the ability to control the amount that is withdrawn from your paycheck on a bi-monthly basis. I'd like to thank everyone that listened to the first podcast, and hopefully you subscribe to the channel and get notifications of when the next one will be happening. And what we're doing here is knowledge, and knowledge is power. Have a good day.